Hi, and good afternoon, everyone. Very well, welcome to the third in the series of webinars titled Coming Back Stronger. I'm Tim Mart. I'm co-founder of Know You More, and we're your hosts for today's webinar. To say that 2020 has been quite a year is a bit of an understatement, but from it have emerged opportunities for leaders to cut through the way it's always been done and make a positive change. So the aim for this series and conversation today is just to share a few of those leadership stories and lessons of positive change with a distinct nod to leadership development and coaching. The structure of our session today is a relatively straightforward one. In a moment, I'm going to hand over to our guests for a 15-minute interview, and then we will open up our Q&A session. Do feel free to use the Q&A function. Some people in previous sessions have used the chat function, as we're so used to using in meetings, etc. For the webinar, if you could use the Q&A function, then we'll make sure we get to that at that section of today's session. For the social media lovers out there, we do have a hashtag, a tailored hashtag, which is hashtag KYMCBS2020. So please do tweet away. I know there'll be some quotes that will be going up throughout the session live on Twitter. And so to our guests. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to today's interviewer, which is Mandy Murphy, and our speaker, Karen Mancini. Mandy is a professional coach, a founding member of Know You More. Our coaching work supports individuals with career and professional transitions, working with confidence, identity, decision-making for career success. Sharing their story today is the wonderful Karen Mancini, Vice President of Human Resources with IAC Europe and RSA. Thank you so much to both of you for joining us. Really looking forward to it, especially after such a wonderful pre-conversation as well. And without further ado, Mandy, I will hand over to you.
That's great. Thank you, Tim. And thank you so much for asking me to take part. This has been quite a really good series, the Coming Back Stronger, and delighted to see to be here today with Karen. And I suppose what we'll do is just go straight into, Karen, you've got a presentation, so maybe we'll just go straight into that. And then we will do questions and have a bit of a conversation about your journey afterwards. Okay?
Perfect. Yes. I'll just get it on sharing mode. Is that okay like that?
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so coaching culture in my industry. So as Tim said, I work in human resources. I myself also have a postgraduate in coaching, so coaching is really important to me, and I'll speak about a little bit about that later. So let's see if this is going to work. Yeah. So what we're going to cover in this session, I'm just going to talk about a little bit about how does the coaching culture work in my industry, in the automotive industry. What to do when it doesn't work. I'm going to do a little bit about what I think HR strategy is, then a little bit about what strategy for coaching culture will be, why I chose Know You More, what I think the benefits are, and what are the next steps that we want to do here in IAC. So coaching culture in my industry, how does it work? So it doesn't, or it didn't, let's put it that way. Automotive is a lean industry. We don't have a lot of money for anything. We have to do always more with less. It's fast paced, it's tough, and yeah, we just, from what I saw when I started in IAC, there wasn't a lot around coaching, and there definitely wasn't a coaching culture here. We work a lot with KPIs in the industry, and we don't always use them to improve the business. We have them there, but we don't use them to improve the business, and that's very important. And I think also that's where a coaching culture can start to come in, is how to improve. It's always very important. So I just have to move this, there we go, that's better. So what to do when it doesn't work. So I'm a very simple person, and I always say, let's go back to basics. Let's start from the beginning. Let's do an inventory. What do we have? What don't we have? So when I joined, there wasn't a HR strategy in place. There was a little bit of that do as I say kind of working. I don't want to offend anybody, but what we call the old-fashioned boys club way of working, because you have to understand the automotive industry is predominantly male. And there was hardly any development. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to do everything. I remember my boss at the time, he said to me, Karen, go out, have a look, and then build your strategy on that. So that's what I did. I went out, I had a look, and we'll get into that in a minute, what I wanted to do. But what I realized was we have to make it sustainable, because the team here, they tried things in the past and it didn't work. And sustainability of anything is very, very important. So if I walk out of the industry, if I walk away tomorrow, or something happens, whatever has started will be carried on. That was really important to me. So so HR 4.0. So I looked at everything needed for a good HR strategy. I spoke to people, and what was important again was how to keep a sustained, motivated workforce to support the business, the goals and strategy. And I think for me, the first thing is stakeholder mapping. I think what a lot of people forget at the very beginning is, who are my stakeholders at all levels of the business? And what do they want from me? How we perceive? What do they want me to do? How can I help them? And what can I do to improve and sustain their expectations? So that was the first thing that I did when I got here. And after that, I kind of built what I call HR 4.0. So next generation HR and how it should work. And I looked at everything, and then I kind of broke it down into these areas of what you would do for business support, what we do in our HR generalist areas, what we do in the specialist areas, what we're going to do with the community to support them. And then finally, the last steps for reaching the highest level and best in class, because we also like to talk about best in class in the automotive industry as well. So what was in the business area, these for me were the most, what I thought were the most important things. The ones highlighted in greens are the ones that we started, or what I think HR should support the business. We started working on leadership alignment. We started working on the strategy, short-term, mid-term, and long-term. We started, obviously, we always look at new business and changing technologies. The blue ones are what I think we can do more on, and what I think in the future within HR and using a coaching culture, we can help to support the business even more, improving our branding, improving company awards, etc., etc., etc. HR generalist, so there's a lot to do. I started looking, these are for me are the basics also of what we need to do to support the business. And we started working on the coaching, the culture, the coaching and mentoring. Well, the mentoring not yet, but we have started on the coaching, which I'll come to later. We work a lot on health and safety, because obviously we want to look after our employees and make sure they always go home at night. So that's very, very important. We started looking at policies and procedure, comp and ben, etc., etc. What we still have to do, we've just started working on performance management, and the rest we really need to work on. We haven't touched at all. When we look at the coaching culture, it's hard. Well, it's not hard, but it's very, very important, because a coaching culture, it helps people to grow. It's a process that helps them to learn and develop. It's unlocking people's potential. And as I say, this do as I say and not including people and getting them to think about how they would do things differently is very, very important. And that's why for me, a coaching culture is the most important, one of the first things we did was the employee survey, because we have to listen to our employees. So this was the first thing we did. And I have to say, the culture coaching, all these, for me, all go into what we call culture. They all come into this. If I'm diverse, if I include people, good relations, employee engagement, it all feeds into having a positive culture. And I have to say that when I started at IAC, I didn't really see this inclusivity culture at all, which was a shame. But we said, okay, let's go. So we've done our first survey, and a lot has come out of that, and we're now working through that to see what we can improve. Specialist areas, very important communication, already started to work on this. And then just started to touch on retention, talent management, succession planning, and learning and development. And the next areas, obviously, we will have to work on as well as we go forward. Coaching culture, again, for me, it's when we talk about inclusivity in all these areas, it's getting people to think for themselves, and instead of telling them what to do, it's what would you do instead? How would you do it? In the automotive industry, we use the 5 whys, which is great for problem solving, but it's not good for coaching. I've always said, and if ever I've done some teaching on coaching, I always said you should never ask somebody why, because it makes them defensive, and we need to get them asked, what happened, how can we do it better, all these different ways. I mean, you guys know yourself. So again, in all these things, when we're going through any of these points, if we don't have that culture behind it, it's going to be really difficult to make a change. It won't be sustainable again. And that's what's really important. And then the last 2 areas, we're just starting to work on STEM, because I think it's very important. Kids and the next generations are really important. And how could we start to support that? So with some of my team, with my team, there are all these different subjects. I'm getting people to help me to work on them. And so somebody's helping to work on this, and they're getting them to lead it, not me. They're leading it on how can we do this. So somebody's working on that. And of course, Charitable Works runs activities. I'm afraid this year, not a lot, but there's been a lot of activities, people on their own doing lots of charitable works. But I think as a company, we need to do more as well, which I'd like to work on. And then the next generation, we're not quite there yet. These are the other things that we will work on going forward. So what's my strategy for coaching culture? I could talk about HR strategy for hours and hours and hours, but obviously we don't have all that time. So I'm just going to stick to coaching culture. If I've seen and learned anything this year, it's about having a community spirit and looking after each other. I mean, it's been such a hard year this year. So again, the coaching approach, it's supporting that. We have to set up what we've actually done, or what we want to do as much as possible with the minimum admin, and that's where Know You More came into it. So that's the start of it. But what we have done this year is we set up a self-care in crisis presentation, where we very openly and without any shame used your self-crisis model, Tim, that you had. And we set up a presentation and we put it online so people could also do something for themselves. But we also set up wellbeing ambassadors for everybody in each of our countries, because I am responsible for about 10 countries. So we've tried in every country to get people there. So this is what we've started to do. We've set up an external care list to support people, where they can go on and download if I don't feel well, or I'm feeling depressed, who can I call? If I'm having financial difficulty, who can I call? And also We've used coaching now for our wellbeing ambassadors, and to start to coach them on how to be able to deal with people, how to help people. Obviously, they're not counselors, and then they shouldn't be. They're wellbeing ambassadors that can be called upon and can give the advice for people on where to go. We're doing a lot more on communication to support people, and a lot more on, we've been putting some support out on, what to do, steps to mental well-being, how to deal with anxiety and lots of things like that. So we've been doing that as well. And and then came Know You More. Very important for me, because again, I have a lean team myself, and we don't have enough time to do all this administrative work. So it was, okay, what can we do? And that's where you guys came in to us, and you're just perfect for us. So we need coaching. We don't have the time, and we don't have any internal trainers to do it today. I know Tim from a while back, and as you can see, I love everything that you do, your passion, what you guys do. And I love it how your connection to the young people and the next generations. And of course, how you give back to the community. And also, I know that, I'll get the best coaches. And what was very important for me, and what we talked about right at the beginning, was I also liked it that I could bring in some of my own trusted coaches that I knew. I really wanted to do that. So you very graciously let me. So benefits. Obviously, I have less admin, which is really good. We get good results through a good program. Everybody I've talked to, I had feedback, are really happy, so far with what's going on, which makes a happy workforce. And this is also a very important point, is that, and if they're not happy, they'll understand it and they'll need to move on, which is also okay. And, a lot of people might find that a little bit of a straight answer, a bit of a tough answer, but coaching, and what people forget is coaching, it's about the person. And we as a company have to understand, when we offer this, it's not just about us, it's about that person. If that person through coaching realizes, well, actually IAC isn't good for me, then they need to move on. And we have to understand that, because there's no point keeping people in a company and working together when they're not happy, because only a happy workforce can help us as a business move forward. So also, what's important for me when we're talking about happy workforce, I don't want to go into too much detail, and people can ask questions or whatever, because I say I could talk about this till the cows come home, but we're all different, and this is where coaching helps. What we forget is, and especially when we put teams together, we put people together in teams and say, right, go and work on that project, and we forget, and I call it the Peacock Effect, where you have the peacock with all the eyes behind. And all those eyes are social and familiar, family inputs, how that person is as a person. And we have to know that, and we have to let people deal with that. And if you put two people together and you're thinking, why is there this conflict? Why are they not getting on together? It's because we've not understood that the people are different, and coaching can help to bring out, or to help people improve and understand that maybe my way of thinking is not always the best way of thinking, and there are other people, and how do I learn to deal with that? So yeah, very, very, very important. Next step. So we've started with a leadership program, and Know You More is on that. We took in you guys from the beginning, your part. So the leadership program starts with the 360. And then the people get a coach straight away. And during the leadership program, they've got chance to talk to their coach, going through and learning and discussing what they're learning, etc., and the feedback from the 360 with a coach. We are looking at some single coaching sessions as well for other people that are not on the leadership program. If they need it, they can have a coach. We're looking at all our development plans and what people need. And then again, if they need the coaching, it comes into it, but what other things they need. We're also going to look at some new management training, because the leadership training is for what we call VPs, directors, senior managers at the moment, because we only started it this year. And then, but we're now also looking at some management training that will also have some coaching modules in it, so that everybody is always, they were going to be introduced to this. It will become part of everyday life coaching. We would also like to train some internal coaches, trying to find the budget. Again, always a problem for us, but we'll do it. And then again, have this sustainable coaching culture in the company. I think that's the most important, that again, that it carries on, you know. So that's basically it. Yeah. Andy?
Thank you, Karen.
Sorry, I need one of those signs to say you're on mute.
I'm on mute.
Karen, thank you so much. I have to say, what a journey you've been on, and you kind of had a bit of a clean slate as well to start off, which was possibly quite an opportunity. And I'm sure we've got some questions, but I've got a couple that I'm going to kind of start the conversation, if that's okay. And I think I loved your analogy of the peacock. I thought that was superb, and I love visual imagery. I work really well with that, but and also how you link that with the different styles of thinking, and how you also underpin that around inclusivity in the organization. I just wondered if you could tell us a little bit more about what you needed to have a more inclusive coaching style culture in your organization.
I think what I need, and what I still need, it's the buy-in. It also always starts at the top, buy-in from top management, that they say, yes, we can go ahead with that. I'm an inclusive person. What I am, however, is very direct. I hate politics. I have no time for politics. It just wastes everybody's time. So my team will tell you that I am very to the point and want to get things done, but so I need support for that. And again, for that, you need people on board. So I went to my top management and said, I would like to do this, much to probably the hock and horror of one of my employees, who I know is on here today, because I said I want to do a survey because I think it's important to know what the people are doing. She got landed with the management of that survey, so thank you, Rebecca. But it was very important that, first of all, so I understood at that point that they're listening, and yeah, we can start to do things. And then it was, okay, so I want to do a leadership program, and I want to do training, a lot more on training and development. And then I was able to take on a training lead for Europe and South Africa, so we could start building all these different things. So it's really important to get buy-in, first of all, from the top, and then obviously you need to get the buy-in also from every level through the business. But again, if you build an inclusive culture, if you start, and again, it's this word culture, you have to start building something that people can relate to, that they see, and that they see you're serious about, and it's not just a passing fad, and okay, yeah, we heard that somewhere before, and it's going to get forgotten in the future. That is not sustainable. It has to, if I walk out tomorrow, it has to carry on if I go. It has to have roots. So that is really, really important. Yeah. And what I need from everybody is just, the buy-in from all different levels.
Yeah. And you say, you said earlier, even a sustainable coaching culture is so important. What will a sustainable coaching culture look like at IAC for you?
So anything and everything that we'll do will have roots. So again, if I leave tomorrow, it just won't get forgotten. It will have roots, and people will say, yes, oh, we have this, and we want to work with this. We want to do that. It won't have to be pushed. It'll be a pull system. People will say, oh yeah, I want to do that, and I know it's there, so I can do it. So that's for me is part of a sustainable culture, is everything we do gets pulled and not pushed on people. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. And we've talked about it being such a challenging year for many businesses, and you've been on quite a journey, not least the last 3 years, never mind the last year. Has COVID and the pandemic shone a light on anything specific for you whilst you look at how you embed this?
Yes, I also have been working from home. I'm in the office today, but I also have been working from home. So I think the biggest light that started to shine was on the health and well-being of our employees, mental health and well-being of our employees. So what we tried to do was, even going through, and what I started at the very beginning of the year, and we've carried on and really intensified, as I said, is this communication. We started a European INET page where we could start sharing things. We have a lot on health and safety. We have stuff on well-being. We have stuff on tips and tricks, like how to do a Zoom, like you say, maybe I'll have to add in next month is have your little board there ready for somebody. So just things to help people. We use the camera all the time, and I encourage people to use the camera. A lot of our other departments don't do it, and then we come on and HR is always there. And they go, "Oh, you got your camera on?" I said, "Yeah, because I don't know." And then people started to use it, and they were like, "Actually, that's really nice to see somebody's face. I've talked to people, but I've not seen anybody for such a long time. I'm just on my own." So I think that's really important. People are on their own. We did sorry, I've lost it now. We've done a pack on working from home for managers, what they need to take into consideration. A pack on the employees, what they can look at, a survival kit. So I was looking for the word. We put survival kits together for them. Just, again, some tips and hints and tricks on what to think about, because all of a sudden everybody was at home and nobody had ever done it before. And our managers didn't know what to do either. And our employees, they were like, "Okay, I'm here." And getting the managers to understand you need to interact, and the camera is such a good tool, and it's there. A lot of our laptops in IAC don't have cameras because a lot of our people go to customers, and the customers don't want us with cameras. But even the people in my team, if they didn't have one, I said to them, "Please, would you buy a camera?" I said, they're, I don't know, 20, 30 pounds, whatever. Just buy a camera that you can put on so that we can see you, because I now have a weekly meeting with all my team. We started off doing some really crazy, funky things. We had everybody wear pink, everybody be your superhero. We did buzzword bingo, just doing when, in the very depths of the crisis. And now we still have a meeting every week, and everybody has a camera. So we can all see each other and have fun, and you interact and you see their faces, and it's so much nicer. Yeah. Sorry, I went on a little bit there, but there was a lot to do this year. So
no, absolutely not a lot at all. And it's really important. The connection is there,
yeah,
and encouraging and supporting people to feel able to use the software, really, isn't it? Yeah. So I wonder if this is a moment, Tim, to see if there's any questions from our viewers.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Karen. The first one actually is from Camilla, and it was a question that was coming up for me because when I worked in corporate, we did the shift, which is very much a people culture, into that lean culture, very much driven by process, very much driven by KPI. And there was I remember being there, there was some tension in that shift actually, and you're kind of talking about doing that quite the other way. And Camilla's question is around, you spoke about INET in terms of how the culture is being more communicated now, but how is it being received, given that it's new to the company?
It's we're not going out and saying, "Hey, everybody, we're doing a coaching culture," because that is quite radical in the automotive industry to do that. Maybe we should, but what we're doing is we're introducing it into everything we're doing. We're trying to do it slowly. And as I say, I want to make it sustainable, and I don't want it to be, we're going to do it, and then something happens and we can't, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, and there was another initiative started and not done." So slowly bringing it into the leadership training, slowly bringing it into the management training, slowly letting people know that they can have some coaching. We'd only just started, and it was on one of the slides, our performance review. I think when I joined the first year, there was kind of something that had happened, but we didn't really do it after that for a couple of years. And this year is the first year again where in depth we're working with the performance review and looking at, okay, development plans, what is it you need? We're starting to work with the different departments on their matrices and what are the gaps that are there, and again, putting it into a development plan. So we're not going out and, you know, we're doing this. We're really more, let's start using it and let people see we're using it and let them use it. Let them try it themselves. And again, the feedback that we've had is, wow, this is really good. Because people, it's giving them, and it's that time to think. People need time to think. And when you have that hour with your coach and they ask you a question, they give you the space to think of an answer that's good for you, that will be good for you going forward. And people don't always have that. So we're giving them that time. So I think it will grow on top of that.
Yeah. Thanks, Karen. Mandy, is the one that you've picked out, or do you want me to go again?
No, I'm just thinking, I love that idea of a soft launch of a coaching approach, because it stops the prickly hairs going either resisting or afraid of change, and that kind of allowing it to just happen, and then work on the feedback that you get from people. I think that's really a really good strategy, actually. So I was quite enjoying listening to that. Thank you.
And the incremental gain side of it reminded me a little bit about David Brailsford, is kind of just incremental gains over lots of different activities, and it building up and becoming ingrained.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Any more questions, Tim?
There's a few questions here actually around, they all have KPIs in them. So I'm going to try and batch them all up into one, and that seems to have struck something. So Marcos has a lovely question around the coaching culture. Do you think it's important that a coaching culture needs to be linked to KPIs, i.e. bottom line outputs in your industry? And then there's also then some related questions, I guess, in recognizing that KPIs form a fundamental part of the industry, is how is that KPI aspect being applied to the measurement of coaching within the industry? So how about those two? Let's go for KPIs in the coaching culture, and how you using KPIs to measure coaching itself.
So thank you, Marco, because we've not done it yet. We have so many KPIs in the automotive industry. We live off KPIs. So that is also a good reminder. We need to put in KPIs. We haven't done it yet. We are measuring. I think because the leadership training has been the first big event that we've done and started to use it with, we will obviously want to look, and we will work with you guys to look at how we think it's gone. So I think going forward, would we do a KPI? It would be good to have a KPI, because again, this is an investment. So we want to see how it's working. Is it working well? So we probably will. We haven't done it yet, but we will going forward. As I say, this soft start, I don't want to frighten anybody with a big KPI to go forward with. We have enough KPIs at the moment that we need to improve. So I don't want to put in another one and then realize actually it's not working. We need to improve that one as well. It would be like,
Fantastic. Oh, fantastic. And I was wondering, Karen, about how do you feel about the journey now when you look back on the journey to where you are today? How does that feel for you?
It's been very interesting. And I know that's not a really word to shoot, but it's been like this. It's been ups and downs, and this year is such a shame for us, because at the end of last year we were in a really good place financially as a business. We're in a really good place. We'd started to, move things in terms of strategy, business strategy, me for my strategy. And then COVID hit, and it's really hurt us. There's no denying that, which means we have to go back to, had to cut our budget a lot, because cars are a luxury, and we work with all the luxury brand cars, and cars are a luxury, and people haven't been traveling, people haven't been getting out, people don't need new cars. So there's been a lot. So for us, the industry, are we going to go back into a recession like 2008, 2009? Maybe, probably, which means we have to take a step back again and work more with less, as we always have been. But I'm not frightened of that. I love a good challenge. I'm hoping that my team that's on here love a good challenge, but they already know. So we're already looking at the objectives for next year and how to do more with less and how to carry on doing what we want to do. And hoping that the bloody vaccine comes and we can all take it, and then nothing else happens, and then we can start to move forward again. That would be really nice.
Yeah, I know, indeed. And is there anything that you would do differently as you look back on some of the, I know there's been all sorts of challenges, but is there anything you would change?
That's a nice question. Is there anything I would change? No, we have a great management team now. For the last year, we've got a really good team, a really good, strong management team that want to do something. I have a fantastic team. I'm not just saying that because some of them are on there. I really do have a really good team. And I'm, so is there anything I would change? No, because, that's how we grow. Things happen. I remember right at the beginning of when COVID hit, people were coming, to me as vice president of HR and the president of the business, and saying, what do we do? And we were like, and I'll be really honest, we were like, I haven't got a clue. I've never been through a pandemic before. So it was kind of like, okay, what do we do? Sit back and let's, doing a bit of that self-coaching. What should we do? How should we do it? Using those coaching questions for ourselves to try and go forward, and then listening. And it's not easy because as I say, I have about 10 different countries that I look after, and each one has their own legal system, and every government was saying, we're doing it this way, we're doing it that way. So we had to again work really quickly to understand what are we going to do, and we didn't please everybody. Somebody might have said, well, we should have been working, sorry, someone just walked past my office, we should have been working from home quicker. Yeah, maybe you should. We were following the directives, and it wasn't an easy time. So would I change anything? No. I don't look back and say, what if? There's no point. It's always looking forward, and that's what's important. So no, I can't change it anyway. So no. It doesn't matter. It's just deal with it, and I love resilience. We've got to be resilient. We've got to just go forward and deal with what we've got.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you look forward, what's next for your part of your coaching culture strategy?
Just as I say, we've had to make some cutbacks, but I still want to move forward. So it's just putting in place the things that we want to do. As I said, training some internal coaches so that when we can't always go outside, at least we've got some internal people trained to be able to be coaches so that we can do also more internally. And just keep, I break, when there's a strategy, you have to break everything down into little steps, baby steps, like, with children, you've got to, and then just keep taking each step as we go and building on and building bricks.
Yeah, absolutely. Baby steps is important. And tell us, what advice would you give to other leaders who to support them, really, I suppose, on their journey to come back stronger?
So the first thing is believe in yourself. It's so easy to think, am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? This person's saying, there'll always be the lovers and the haters. Believe in yourself, believe in what you're doing. It's sticking to your guns. If you think an issue is important as well and you want to do it, it's stick to it. And I do that a lot. If I want to do a strategy, and even if I know I have to prolong it sometimes, or go around a step but come back to a step. So it's believing that you can do things sticking to your guns, be honest. There's no point, as I said at the beginning, I'm very direct. I don't beat around the bush. I don't see the point. So just be honest. Pick up the phone. Don't always send mails. I always say that to myself. Sometimes I still do, but pick up the phone as much as possible. Talk to people. And that's the last one. Communication is key. Communicate, 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 and do that honestly. Is very, very important for me.
Yeah. Very, very wise words, actually. It's very important. Thank you so much, Karen. So Tim, I just wondered, was there any more questions for the remaining?
Yeah, there's a little bit of a hunger for a story or an example, Karen, if you've got one. So, have there been any stories or examples that you might be able to share with us of where, the culture's grown a little bit of root so far, and you've seen that play out? Or potentially there's another one from Evelyn here, which, she really appreciated you talking about, recognizing different learning styles and how that coaching has supported some of your team members. Do you have a story around that as an example, really? One of those?
So a story about routing. Oh my gosh. Story about routing. Lots of stories. Oh, one on routing. I don't know. How we putting the routes in. Sorry, I'm gonna take time to think now. I'm not gonna rush this. I'm gonna take my time to think about an example on how we're gonna route and coaching, supporting. I have a really good example. One example, first of all, on coaching and supporting that we're doing is, I have some really good people in the business that have needed the training, have needed the leadership training, and have needed the coaching, and starting to use that. I can see, a huge difference in the way that they approach things, the way that they're working with people and doing things differently. So it's really, and I've had actually, I'm thinking now, if you were coming, another person in the company that we've had that's been doing a coaching, and they've also, people have said, they come back and say, I've really seen a change in that guy in the last few months. And they've not actually known that they've been on a coaching, which was very interesting. They've just said, that person's really changed. There's been a huge difference. And I've turned around, and that's why I'm saying these little steps. I said, that's, they're doing some coaching. They went, oh, wow. And so people are starting to think, well, that's a really good thing. We could really use this, because they're seeing it in the people that have started using the coaching. So that's one. And then the roots, again, these people, they're going to put down the roots for us. They're going to set it up for us, because each of the changes that they make, it's like conflict management, where you have the circle of conflict. And unless somebody starts to make a change, the circle will always carry on. And this is the same with coaching. Once you start to have the coaching, you yourself are putting more roots for the company. Every little bit makes a difference. And this is, for me, again, when we talk about culture, this is how you build a culture, because a culture takes years and years to build. And you've got to, and each of these little things will start to help root our culture and our coaching culture for the company, by doing all these little things, all these little steps. So I think that the roots are going to spread themselves, actually, as we go along and keep on using everything that we're using. I hope that answers that question.
Brilliant, thank you so much. I'm conscious of time, but there is one question, last question I'd like to ask, if that's okay. It's from Polly, who asks, hi Karen, thank you for sharing and providing valuable insights. Your passion and drive shines out. You've done so much already. And I guess I was thinking this with, we have the festive period around the corner, but how do you celebrate your achievements?
How do I, or with my team?
How do you?
Oh, that's a sneaky question. How do I celebrate? Actually, I like to celebrate with my team. And I know that might sound cheesy, but I do, because I always said from the beginning, a HR strategy, it's not my strategy, it's me and my team. it's everybody's strategy. So we're there to support people. So I do like to, and I am celebrating with my team. Tomorrow we're having a virtual Christmas party.
Nice.
Online for a couple of hours. But me personally, you know, that's a good question. And I'm going to take that to my coach because I also have a coach, which I think is very important. And that's another thing that I myself, though, you know, sometimes I get to that point where I'm like, oh, what to do? And I ring my coach and say, okay. And so maybe, yeah, I'm going to spend time off. I'm going to take 2 weeks holiday I need some me time.
Yes.
To wind down, turn the computer off, turn the telephone off, have a glass or two.
Something special. Yes.
Something special. My husband's I call him a pretentious champagne connoisseur. He loves champagne because we lived in near the region. So we have a lot of champagne at home. So I'm going to start making my way through the champagne bottles.
Brilliant. Here's to that. Thank you so much, Karen. Appreciate that. And as I say, crunch of time, we'll bring the session to the end. Thank you, Mandy, for that, and thank you, Karen, for the amazing insight and honesty of the journey through this year. Well, actually, way beyond, you know, since a couple of years ago, right? So fantastic, and congratulations on the work that you're doing so far. We've recorded this session and we will be posting it on the resources page and sharing it out more widely. On that resources page will also be the, I guess, the link to the future session, which will be announced on there in 2021. I hope you've all enjoyed the series so far, and I guess it's the last one of this year. I would like to wish you and your families a great Christmas and celebrate in style, as Karen will be doing. And thank you very much for joining us. And we'll see you all soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.